According to this report, Texas A&M is a contender, but not an elite team. And there's one reason why, and I'll tell you on today's episode of Locked On Aggies.
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. On the show today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have one more talk. I talked, obviously, yesterday we had a short little episode about baseball, and I want to share a few more thoughts on this. That'll be in segment 3. I want to talk about the running back room. You know, I've got some concerns, and the concerns aren't based on the skill because we know how good the room is. So we'll get to that in segment 2, but I want to get things kicked off, started from talking about this article from BamaHammer.com. And I see a lot of, I read articles from Bama Hammer here and there, and not always a fan, but I like, this is a good article here. And the title of this article is "These 4 SEC football teams are contenders, but a step below the elite tier." And the reason that they believe that Texas A&M falls under that category is due to their concerns with Marcel Reed. So let's read the blurb from this article. Texas A&M ran out of gas down the stretch last season, but Mike Elko seems to have the ball rolling in the right direction in College Station. Like Ole Miss, 2025 will depend a lot on what they get out of the quarterback position. Marcel Reed is one of the most dynamic running quarterbacks in the country, but has he grown enough as a passer to maintain offensive balance? He should have plenty of help at wide receivers. The Aggies added NC State's Casey Concepcion and Mississippi State's Mario Craver in the portal. We know Elko will field an aggressive defense, but if the Aggies want to be a legitimate threat in the SEC, Reed will have to make the leap. And for obviously that's a Alabama website. I think that's pretty insightful on this Texas A&M team, and I agree for the most part. I mean, I always hate to say this, but it does come down to quarterback play a lot of times for football teams. I don't care how talented you are, how good your receivers are, how good your offensive line is, how good your defense is. If you don't have a competent quarterback, it is going to be hard to win football games. That is just the reality here. That's just the case. It is. And, I think that Texas A&M, and once again, when having this conversation, it needs to be reiterated. I am not yet here to say that Texas A&M does not, in fact, have a quarterback that I think could have a good season. I do believe in the upside of Marcel Reed. There are different types of players when it comes to ceiling players and floor players. And to me, Marcel Reed is a ceiling player. His ceiling is through the roof. And I've talked about this. Y'all that are everydayers here at Locked On Aggies know kind of the direction I've gone within this conversation about Marcel Reed. 4 months ago, I was saying, if we see some improvement, maybe perhaps in the spring game, we can all start buying in to Marcel Reed. And when I say improvement, we're not talking about as a runner. We know Marcel Reed can run the football. He's extremely talented with the ball in his hands, running, getting upfield. He's quick. He's shifty. He's smart. He knows when to take off. And that's going to be dangerous for this Texas A&M team. It's going to create issues for opposing defenses. But if he can get better as a passer, that is when this Texas A&M offense goes from being good to elite. That right there makes the change, because there will no longer be an excuse of, well, he just doesn't have these great wide receivers. He has great wide receivers now between Concepcion and Craver and Bussey and Ashton Bethel Roman. And a lot of these names on this roster, there's more than just that. I mean, it's a good, deep Texas A&M wide receiver room, highlighted by a player in Concepcion, who many anticipate being one of the best receivers in college football. So receivers are no longer the excuse when it comes to passing the football. He's got some pretty good tight ends. He's got an offensive line that we expect to be pretty good blocking for him. I believe that Marcel Reed still has more time. And I've talked about this after the spring game, and I've had a lot of folks fight me on this, and that's completely fair. It's a good conversation to have because it's important for the season. But he didn't pass the eyeball test to me. I mean, I'm not willing to accept mediocrity any longer within this program. Marcel Reed in that game to me looked like a quarterback that could, sure, he could get us to 7-5 or 8-4. Who cares? If 7-5 and 8-4 is what you're looking for, I don't know what to tell you, but that's not what I'm looking for. And I think that in that game, Marcel Reed looked like a quarterback who could take Texas A&M to be 7-5 or 8-4. That's not what we want here. We want a team to make the college football playoff. You have a good enough roster to do it. So, and I think that this article, why I like this article so much, I think it hit the nail on the head, is it exemplifies exactly that. This football team, without Marcel Reed getting any better with the options they have at receiver and how this offense looks and the players you got on defense, they're going to win 7 or 8 football games. I think with the schedule, we all feel pretty confident in that. But it's going to take Marcel Reed getting better as a passer to balance out this offense for Texas A&M to take that next step to a genuinely elite team that is not only like an SEC championship contender, but a national title contender, a college football playoff contender. And this roster, like I've said, time and time again, has the talent to do it. But there's going to need to be some help, and I think that help's going to have to come from Marcel Reed as a passer. So I thought this was a great article. The other teams listed here were Ole Miss, South Carolina, and LSU. Of course, the Aggies play 2 of those teams in the South Carolina Gamecocks and LSU Tigers, the LSU game in Baton Rouge, and the South Carolina game at Kyle Field. But that's what's going to have to happen. I mean, I'm telling y'all, Marcel Reed, and he can get there. That's the thing. I think the folks, when they hear me have this argument, they're saying, well, I mean, he can get better. He can improve. I know that. We all know that. That's the reality. He can get better. And we're all hoping he's gonna. But at the end of the day, if he doesn't get any better, I don't see this football team being a contender. I think we're going to win 7 or 8 football games. I think if we win 8 football games, we'd be a contender like toward the end of the season, but I don't know if we'd be a legitimate contender. So that has to happen. And I know I hate blaming, or not blaming, but making it seem like everything this season, it's all going to come down to the play of Marcel Reed, because I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fully reality. I don't, but I do think that his play is going to have a massive effect on what ends up happening this season. I mean, if he's not good, this team is not going to be good. That's just part of the battle of playing the quarterback position. You're going to get a lot of the praise and you're going to take a lot of the blame, whether it's going good or it's going bad. So, these next few, what do we got now? What do we got? 4 months. I'm getting ready to book my hotel for SEC Media Days, which is quite exciting because that means that it feels like when Media Days comes, football's right around the corner. But so we've got 1, 2, 3, 3.5 months, basically. 3.5 months until the first game of the season. So that tells me that this team and Marcel Reed have a lot to get ready for the start of the season. But yeah, Marcel Reed, he's got more time to get himself ready for that first game of the year. But as I've said, that improvement needs to be made over the next 3.5 months, or this football team will be a good team, not a contender. And that's where Texas A&M needs to be with the rosters that they've had over the years. They need to be contenders every year, and hopefully Marcel Reed can develop and get this team there. I want to talk about the running back room. I am concerned, not concerned about talent, concerned about something else. And I'm going to tell you what that is coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. A lot of fun stuff to bet on right now. You've, of course, got the MLB going on. I love doing the home run. They give you a boost on that a lot, and you can put $10 on a player to hit a home run, and obviously those odds are pretty good, and it's fun, and I've hit a few of those this year. That's the best part about FanDuel and sports in general, is there's always fun things to bet on every single day. I promise you're going to want to go download FanDuel if you have not done so already. New to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA and, of course, the Locked On Podcast Network. I want to talk about this running back room because you have a really banged up room, and that's concerning to me. And when I say banged up, you're sitting right now with a room full of players like Le'Veon Moss coming off an injury, Amari Daniels coming off an injury. I don't know if you want to classify Ruben Owens in that coming off an injury category, knowing that, you know, he missed most of the year last year, played in the Texas game a few snaps, played a good amount of snaps in the bowl game against USC, and now he's kind of back to healthy. But then we also hear from Coach Elko, and we've also heard it from Ruben Owens himself, that he's not fully at 100% to this point. So, I mean, knowing all of this, I'm a little concerned about, you know, will Moss and Daniels, I think they're going to be good to go, but injuries like this sometimes have a lasting effect, especially in running backs who are cutting and all that. They have lasting effects. So, and I mean, EJ Smith, you know, it's so funny. I mean, EJ Smith, seriously, like, I didn't even realize he still had eligibility till like 2 months ago. Which is, I just find that to be so funny, because like, I don't think he's going to help you out. Like, I bring that up saying I forgot we even had EJ Smith until about 2 months ago, because I don't think that he's going to help you. I really just don't. I think that he's okay. You know, he's not a terrible player, but I mean, I think that you're going to have to rely on some of these freshmen, Jamarion Morrow and DeAndre Tiger Ryden. I think that those guys are going to have to step up, maybe especially early in the season. I'm telling you this. If, let's say, Moss and Daniels are kind of, they're not, let's say they're back for week 1. Let's say that does happen. And we also haven't really, we don't know what's going on with these guys. We haven't heard a great update. You will probably in summer. We'll kind of get more of a feel for it, I bet. But, you know, there's a chance that maybe they're back, but they're not 100%. We don't really know yet. But let's just play that game. Let's say they're back, but they're not playing full snaps. And I would rather give those extra running back snaps to Morrow or Ryden, seeing what you've got in the freshman, rather than giving them to EJ Smith. And I mean, I like EJ Smith. He's a great kid. He's a solid player, but I just think these freshmen have better upside. I really like John Wright. I've had him on the show before, last summer, I think, or 7-8 months ago, something like that. Great kid, going to be a solid running back at Texas A&M. And I think that him and Morrow, maybe early in the year before you get deep into SEC play, maybe before that Notre Dame game, it would be ideal if they could get some reps. So I just here's what I'll say. Here's how I want to kind of have this conversation. I think there's a lot of people that are really excited about the Texas A&M running back room, and you should be. It's a really talented room. There's a ton of talent, top to bottom, in this Texas A&M running back room for sure. But these players are coming off serious injuries, and we've seen this have effects, especially in the first year for players. I mean, I think, and obviously we've got different injuries, different players, but I mean, I just injuries have lasting effects. I think that this conversation about Reuben Owens and how even after those, he's almost a full year out of his, injury and getting that fixed. After all that, he still talked about, I'm still feeling like 90%. You might have Amari Daniels and Le'Veon Moss, but perhaps you're only going to have 80% or 90% of those guys. And I still believe I'll be the first one to tell y'all, I believe that 80% of Le'Veon Moss is still one of the better running backs in all of college football. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is it's something to pay attention to. It's something to be concerned about. And I think it would be sad to say, because this is such a talented room. I mean, it is so talented, and it has a chance to just be so good. But like I said, there are the concerns about people coming back from these injuries and all of that. So this running back room, it's going to be good, but maybe some of these players at the beginning of the year are playing closer to 80% rather than closer to 100. And I just think that that's going to be concerning. So finding a way to win football games early in the year. And that's why I think that these freshmen, Morrow and Ryden, are going to have to step up more than I think a lot of people think right now. I'll tell you that. And I think Reuben Owens will as well. But there's a chance you got a stable of running backs that are all sitting not at 100% except for your freshmen. So if that's the case, it doesn't matter how talented you are. If you're injured, you're injured. So we need to find a way. Got to find a way to get these guys healthy. But it's something to monitor. That's all I wanted to bring up. It's something to pay attention to for sure. Want to talk a little bit more about the Texas A&M baseball team and the horrific weekend. We'll talk about that. We'll have that conversation coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on silly things that I didn't need to be spending money on. And it has helped me budget smarter. I really think that this has been a game changer for me financially. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. So I think that the only word that could even potentially be used to describe last weekend for this baseball team is utterly disappointing. Only way you can describe it. You went into that weekend where a sweep probably locks you into the tournament. A series win, you just would have needed to take one this weekend in Athens to probably lock you into the tournament. You have momentum. Obviously, you get swept by Texas, but you have that momentum coming from the Tennessee series and the Arkansas series and the LSU series. I mean, you had beaten some really good baseball teams in series over the last few weeks. But you just get absolutely I'm swept. I mean, it was one of the most frustrating weekends watching baseball that I've seen in a really, really long time. And I think that right now your season's on life support. You're gonna need a series. You're gonna. I mean, you'd have to sweep Georgia because, like I said, that magic number is about 13 wins. You're sitting at 10. You'd have to sweep Georgia, which sweeping Georgia in Athens, I'd say it's about impossible. But I would, what's funny is I'd say it's about as impossible as Missouri coming to College Station and sweeping the Aggies. It's about that impossible. So hey, nothing's impossible. But I mean, all that you're gonna have left is winning this SEC tournament. I mean, which isn't the most far-fetched thing in the world. I mean, I believe that what happened last weekend, people that understand baseball know that what happened last weekend was a statistical anomaly. I mean, that made no sense. That was a terrible baseball team that just looked motivated and found a way to win some baseball games. And maybe they were like, hey, we can play spoiler this weekend. I don't know what their motivation was, but they looked like the more motivated team. And this is a good Texas A&M baseball team. I know it's not as good as we thought it was, but they're still good. So I think that at the end of the day, yeah, it's possible that they win the SEC tournament. Is it likely? No, but it's possible. So, I mean, there are still opportunities to make the postseason. And I've said if this team can just find a way to get into the postseason, I believe they could go to Omaha. I do believe that. I'm just telling you this. If the Aggies don't make the NCAA tournament, which right now I'd put their chances at 10%, if that, maybe closer to 5%. If they don't make the NCAA tournament, this series against Missouri is something for diehard Texas A&M baseball fans that will be remembered for a very, 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 very long time, because it cost his team a postseason with a roster that was capable of doing something special once the tournament, got here. So, just a horrible turn of events. No midweek game this week. Of course, you're going to Athens. We'll talk about the series. I mean, if you lose game one at that point, you might as well just save your pitching for the SEC tournament, which starts on May 20th. I mean, because if you lose game one, you're not, I mean, unless you have some seeding things to play for, which I'll have to look more into that. But if you lose game one, you might as well save pitching for the SEC baseball tournament, because that's going to be what gets you into the postseason. We'll see. So frustrating weekend, as I've said, incredibly frustrating. But this team's going to have to find a way to figure something out, or season's going to end awful soon for this baseball team. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Aggies. Thank you all so much for being here every single day. I really, really appreciate it. Hope everyone has an outstanding rest of their weekend, and we'll see you next time. Did I just say outstanding rest of your weekend? Have an outstanding rest of your Tuesday. I guess my brain's on the weekend already. I was in Atlanta with my mob, so I just got back from out of town, so I guess I've got the brain farts going on. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Aggies.